Hey everybody, and welcome to the Invincible podcast, probably the best superhero podcast in the universe. This is a show where friends sit around and talk all things Invincible, a comic book and animated series by Robert Kirkman, Corey Walker, and Ryan Ottley. I am one of your hosts, Bill. I'm not Bill, I'm Ryan.
Wishful thinking.
I'm one of your hosts, Ryan. Joining me today is Bill. I was getting ahead of myself, that's why.
Yeah.
And TJ, how you doing, TJ?
I'm good. I have news. I have very big news.
Is the movie coming out?
It's the biggest news of 2022. Maybe even 2021. It's big.
Oh, God.
Big.
Okay. All right. Now? You dropping it now?
He's back. I don't know if you've seen it. However, it's the return of the sweet one.
Oh, my God.
He's back on TV.
God. Are you kidding me?
When I brought the sweet one to the Invincible podcast, I was referring to very old commercials from years ago. However, they brought him back. He's been dominating the TV. It's all me. It's due to the success.
You're unreal.
Like,
There's no.
The people wanted it. You know what? I didn't even plan.
Are they teasing this
Guess
for a
what
Super
I got?
Bowl commercial?
Some Diet Dr. Pepper.
No way.
The sweet one.
Oh my God.
Can we just get a sponsorship right now?
That is a sponsorship I would take. I would take that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't know if it has to do with the Super Bowl, but he's been all new commercials. He's been all over TV.
Oh my God.
He's back.
I can't believe
It's going to be a great year.
I can't
It's going to be a great year.
Too bad we already did our predictions last episode.
I gotta say, I was not expecting that.
Yeah, that was not.
All the things that it could have been. Not that.
Down the banister.
Oh my God. I did not expect that at all. Wow. And the energy. All right. So, Bill, how are you doing?
My life's been pretty boring, actually, compared to that sweet one news. But good.
That's great.
I read a lot of Hunt. I couldn't stop.
I'm excited to talk about it. This is going to be our first ever episode where we talk about some, Invincible adjacent comic books. Comic books created or co-created by the creators or co-creators from Invincible. So the first one up is Haunt, and every single month we're going to, or at least every month that we're going to make this a topic, we're putting a poll up over on Twitter and letting you decide which one we're going to be talking about. And it was a close one. It was a really close one.
It wasn't unanimous. I thought it was going to be unanimous, but it was pretty close.
Really? I really thought Destroyer could have taken it. And for a while, Destroyer wasn't close. And then towards the end, I want to say it crept up. For a while, it was Marvel Zombies for a long time.
Is Destroyer popular, though? Like, did a lot of people read Destroyer?
No, but I think that maybe that's something that people might be interested in something different that they don't know.
They will be after we do the review.
When the people that did read Destroyer voted for Destroyer. You know what I mean? Like, the people that read Destroyer love Destroyer. Yeah. Because it's so good. I know Sean Kirkman, Big Clutch, he wanted Destroyer. Yeah. And hopefully one day
we'll
get it.
Now, we'll put some of those in the next one. I don't know if... Yeah. I think maybe Destroyer will be the only one that I put into the poll again because we want it that bad. But I'm going to put two...
I think it should be.
I think I'll put two new ones in the next poll.
Yep.
But
I'll switch it up.
I'm excited.
What's really amazing...
Yeah.
What's really amazing is that we were huge fans of these things when they came out, but I remembered nothing about Haunt. I don't know. I remember one thing about Destroyer, and that's just like the premise. I don't even remember anything about it.
Yeah,
me too.
I remember Destroyer being Brit-like,
Yeah, it's pretty much a really graphic Brit. I feel like.
Yeah.
I feel like I do remember the majority of Grizzly Shark. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Well, that's more recent though. We read that.
Definitely more recent than
within the last 5 years. Haunt. When did Haunt come out? 2000.
I have it. 2009. October of 2009. Mm-hmm.
That's when we read it. And how long ago was that? 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22.
How many is that, Bill?
Did I do bad math? Is that 13 years?
I was wondering why you were taking the long way. I was like, well, 2009, 2019.
It's called suspense. It was.
Ryan. It was. But we're not talking about Haunt yet. We'll talk about that later in this episode. We've got some news. We are going to finally reveal the winner of our giveaway. We've got some emails, some fun stuff in this episode. But if you want to be a part of the podcast, just like I said, those emails, you can email us at theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com. Send us a message over on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. We're over on Spotify. You can also check out the website where we have all of our videos and episodes and contact information listed. That is theinvinciblepodcast.com. Otherwise, we are also the Oblivion Song Podcast. And last week would have been. We were so close,
Great
CJ.
Return, the penultimate episode.
But unfortunately, it got delayed again. So we're looking at later in February at this point.
Yeah, end of February. I want to say the 24th. I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it doesn't get delayed again.
All this time, everybody, if you're listening, you've had all this time to catch up for the penultimate episode.
No excuses. And it's good. It's very, very good. I think someone just reached out to us on Twitter and asked if they should read Oblivion Song. And I mean, like Ryan said, we are also the Oblivion Song
Fletcher Keel
podcast. So our answer is yes.
Fletcher,
answer is yes, and then go check us out over there.
Yep. Fletcher, who has actually been reading Invincible for the first time, I want to say for a year or so now. And he's been touching base with us over the last year as he's been getting 2 parts in the comic. And so recently he was able to listen along with the episode reviews, towards reboot and end of all things.
Is this the new? Is he the new self-proclaimed #1 fan of the Invincible podcast? Like,
oh no, that's oh shoot, now I forgot his name. I want to say it's Christopher. I don't want to.
I think that sounds right.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, check out Oblivion Song, and then check out the Oblivion Song podcast. Only 2 episodes and 2 issues left, and then someday a movie with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah. It'll be a good one.
Mm-hmm. Real good one. All right, let's jump into some Invincible related news. The Rotten Tomato Awards came out, but not in a bad way. The Golden Tomatoes. So they do their yearly award show or award release, and Invincible won Best Animated Series of 2021. They got a Golden Tomato.
That's huge. That's huge. So awesome.
Like. Crazy, especially considering what I think is one of the best animated series of all time came out in 2021. Obviously, I love Invincible, but Arcane was insane. No poet. But that's crazy, man. That's awesome. That's really, really great. So congratulations to everybody over that was involved in that. Speaking of them and the animated series, Robert Kirkman and Simon Recchiopa did a watch along over on Twitter.
That was fun.
That was really fun.
Kind of relive that again.
Yeah. I was currently cleaning out my basement and loading stuff for Goodwill to donate in my car and driving around, running errands and keeping up with it and I'm obviously picturing the whole episode in my head. I know exactly what he's talking about when he's referencing things. So I didn't exactly get to watch along, but a couple things that I made note of that I wanted to bring up that I thought were interesting. He said that John Hamm originally had a much larger role, but couldn't commit to it for whatever reason. And he said speculate away. No, it wasn't. The egg wasn't in first season, TJ. No, so I mean, and I agree with Wyatt on this one. I saw him reply to that. It was Omni-Man, right? You guys think it was Omni-Man?
No way.
I don't think it was Omni-Man.
Not in a million.
I think it was JK from the beginning.
Yeah, JK Simmons.
He's so perfect. I get it, but
he's too perfect.
Man, John Hamm would be good too, though.
Not as good as JK Simmons. He would be good.
Who do you think? Immortal?
I don't know, probably Immortal or
I can see Immortal.
I can kind of see Immortal.
Yeah.
Because wasn't Immortal someone? What's his name?
It was the guy from Walking Dead.
Yeah, who had multiple roles anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he originally had just That'd be interesting. Yeah, he said. I mean, who else would have a big role that John Hamm could do?
Cecil.
I don't know if I could see.
I'm trying to think.
Cecil.
I'm trying to think the age. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where his
not Mahler's.
Not Debbie.
No, not
I think it's
Debbie.
Immortal.
Yeah, man. Maybe it is Immortal.
Or Cecil. Why not Cecil? It could have been Cecil.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I would think Immortal and Omni-Man before Cecil, but that's not a bad call. Another interesting thing was, he teased, will Bulletproof be in season 2? We'll have to wait and see. Do you guys think Bulletproof will be in season 2?
1,000%. Yeah.
He has such a major role later in the series. They can't just I guess they
can't
could.
shoehorn him in there.
It would kind of be an Invincible thing to just have him in the I don't know.
It's about TJ, to your point, it's about growth and development of these characters. He becomes such a different person by the end that he absolutely is going to be. Why wouldn't he be in season 2, Ryan?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
I agree. I think he will.
They'll bring him in.
And they might even have a similar reason as they did in the comics, and just be like, oh, but now that we don't have Omni-Man, we've lost a lot of heavy hitters. We're going to need to bring in some more people. So yeah. And then Kirkman also mentioned the "I never liked you," the feeling was mutual line, and how some people seemed bummed that didn't make the cut. But Robert Kirkman said that he really wanted to leave it open that that Nolan was under some sort of mind control or something, which I think it's a smart move. It's a smart move. Yeah, I missed that line, but it really makes you wonder, because that was a lot of the theory going around, and something that we talked about a lot was is he all with it, with it? Like, what's going on?
That would have wow, that I never thought about that, but that would have been very definitive. Like, Omni-Man's bad, and he's
yeah, and they wanted to play up the mystery of whether or not he actually is
smart. Very, very smart.
Yeah. So moving on, Image ! Was announced. That is a new comic anthology coming out through Image Comics. I'm going to read the little press release here over on image.com. Celebrate the 30th anniversary of Image Comics with the upcoming anthology series Image! Kicking off in April. This 12-issue series will treat readers to all new stories from some of the biggest and best names in comics. Edited by Eric Stevenson, featuring a combination of ongoing serials and standalone short stories. Image! Will be the cannot miss event of the year. First issue showcases some combination of ongoing and serials, like we said. Our friend Kyle Higgins is doing an ongoing in there. In fact, Radiant Black is on the cover of issue 1 that they've released. But the series will also boast the talents of such comic powerhouses as Rick Remender, Brendan Fletcher, Robert Kirkman, Cory Walker, Ed Brubaker. Wait a minute, what?
Robert Kirkman and Cory Walker.
Yep.
Are they working on? Have we seen anything recently that they could be working on?
I don't know. I'm telling you guys. I'm telling you guys. I said last month, I have no expectations anymore. I will see Dropkick. I don't care what it is. I will see anything by Robert Kirkman and or Cory Walker. Like, that's exciting regardless. Even if it's not Invincible, I'd be stoked. Hey, you know what? It very well could be, guys, and I'm about to disappoint you. Science Dog left off on a cliffhanger, and we didn't know when it'd be back.
It's not Science Dog.
Dude, be prepared.
It's Tara. Dude,
I'm just saying,
it's Tara and Marky.
Set your expectations.
You don't even want to... No, you don't want to even put it out in the universe because you want it so bad. It's like,
Ryan,
of course.
Like, if you talk about it, it won't happen.
Ryan, make a definitive prediction. What do you think it is?
I think it's Science Dog.
You think it's Science Dog over?
I want it to be Invincible. But I also feel like in an anthology series, man, part of me almost prefers it to be Science Dog, and then let Invincible get its own thing.
Oh, me too. I want that. I want
Science Dog too. I want both. I'm prepared for this to be Science Dog. I'll lose my mind if it's Invincible, but I'm just saying.
No. I don't want it to be Invincible because I want Invincible to have its own day. I want it to have its own comic. I want it to have its own one shot.
You don't want it to be 3 pages in an issue with other things.
Right. Give it a full issue.
Yeah.
That I don't think it'll get. I think it's part of this. I don't think it'll get a full issue. I think it'll be part of this anthology series. It'll be that much, and that's it. And
I
if people
agree,
freak,
but I
if
hope
people,
we're wrong.
What if it's
if people
Science Dog
freak out,
and at the end of the Science Dog little short story, they tease something else coming?
Sure.
Because next year is Invincible's 20th birthday.
That's more likely. That's more likely that it would be something. But I feel like they would probably do both. They would probably put it in there and say to be continued in January, something like that.
Maybe.
That's my. You know what? That's my prediction, TJ. Fuck you, TJ. That's my prediction.
When is it coming out, Ryan?
First issue is in April, but it is a 12-issue thing, meaning in January, in Invincible's 20th birthday, this will still be going on. So it could be both.
Do we know that it's going to be a monthly thing?
Yes, it is monthly. It's 12 issues, and we don't know which issue Robert Kirkman and/or Cory Walker will be appearing in.
That makes me believe even more.
We also don't know if what they're doing is 1-part or 3-parter or a 5-parter or a 6 or 12.
What if it's a Destroyer sequel?
That
makes me believe even. That makes me believe even more that it's Marky and Tara. No, wow. Marky and Tara.
Wow. All right. Well, everybody listening, set your expectations appropriately. We don't know anything at this point.
Very high. It's Invincible, guys.
But regardless, it's exciting. I mean, there's some really cool names on this, and Kieran Gillen, James Tynion. There's some cool, exciting stuff that might come out of this, so that'll be fun. Then we've got our last bit of news, which is these guys. So we did a unboxing video over on YouTube, and you could check it out. TJ and I were able to open up the Series 1 Diamond Select action figures of Invincible and Omni-Man. Play with them a little bit, check them out. And, we appreciate Diamond Select for sending them to us, and we wanted to pass that along to you guys. We've never really done a full-on giveaway like this, and decided to do it that way. So after watching the video over on YouTube, people were able to send in their requests for the giveaway, and we asked who your top 2 picks were for a Series 3, because as we know, Robot and Adam Eve are going to be Series 2. And we wanted to find out what everybody wanted to see next after them. And what
did they say?
I compiled the results. Do you guys have predictions? I will give you the top 5. The top 5 picks in order.
Number 1, 100% is Battle Beast.
Yeah, I would agree.
That is correct. With 8 points. Battle Beast. Number 2.
Can you tell us any? Did anybody add in any accessories that they would want Battle Beast?
There were a couple here and there. The mace.
Obviously, the mace. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or bloody version. Like there was a couple of things like that. Any guesses for who else in the top 5 other than Battle Beast?
Rexplode is in the top 5 somewhere.
Okay.
I would say he's probably I would say Rexplode is behind a Mauler twin.
Okay.
Surprisingly.
I'm going to say Rex is either 2 or 3.
Okay. Rex is number 2. Rex is the second most.
As he should be, because those are my top 2 as well.
Some requests for Rex, some requests for Boomsticks, long hair, and so on. And then he was 7 votes, so there is 8 with that'll be 7 with Rexplode.
Wow, that's close.
And then 3, 4, and 5 was a 3 and 4 was a tie with 4 votes.
Maulers?
Monster Girl. Yeah.
Correct. Monster Girl. Maulers were not in this.
In the top 5?
Even in it at all?
Nope.
Wow.
I mean, they might have been. They had like a vote or 2. Yeah. Next up, tied with Monster Girl, was Titan. People wanted some villains.
Titan over the Maulers? Wow.
And the last one was just shocking.
Titan was like super badass.
Machine Head.
Good call, Bill.
Are you serious?
Where did you pull that from? That was awesome.
He was a breakout, man.
I think Titan was more of a breakout than Machine Head.
You got to think of the show outside of the comic. I mean, Titan and Machine Head were both huge in the show.
Yeah. Yeah. I want
Makes sense.
detachable faceplate and a little chip that you could put in his neck.
Oh yeah.
And a little voice box on his back. So that was the top 5 requests for who everyone wanted to see in as a Series 3 action figure. So now we are going to pull up the wheel, TJ. We've got the names of everyone that entered into the giveaway, and we're going to pick someone to win these figures. Let's see.
As soon as he pulls it, there we go.
All right, TJ. And when you're ready, you can go ahead and spin the wheel.
Here we go.
Tick 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 tick.
Thank you, Bill, for the sound effects.
Tick tick. You're welcome. Tick 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 tick.
And for the audio listeners, slowing down.
Please not Mitch Krasson. Please not Mitch Krasson.
Holy
No
shit!
way.
Holy.
Oh my God!
He's gonna be so mad.
All right, so Gracie, congratulations, Gracie. Demartian. Luke, so close, man. I'm sorry.
Wow.
That's
probably
devastating.
Flipping tables right now.
That
So
was
that close.
That was
Holy
great.
shit.
So congratulations, Gracie. I will reach out to you in an email. Make sure to get your address and everything, and we'll get these things sent out to you. Sorry.
That was intense.
It was. It was
Man,
going
my
so
blood
slow
boiling.
at the end there. All right. Hopefully, Diamond will be able to help us out and send us some for Series 2, and we'll be able to do this again because that was fun. And then maybe for that one, Bill, you could do the unboxing by yourself.
Oh yeah, I'll have fun.
I think that'd be fun.
All day.
All right. We've got a couple emails. We're going to read those before we jump into our Hush discussion. Hush discussion. That's fun to say. It sounds like
Hush?
Sean Connery.
Do you mean haunt?
Oh, Haunt. Sorry, not Hush.
That would be amazing if we were doing
We're
it.
going to talk about... Wait, what do you mean? You guys didn't read Hush?
I could probably talk about Hush. Batman Hush all night.
Hush is a little overrated.
I'll go first.
What, are you fucking high? Are you
Shut
serious?
the fuck up. Shut up, PJ.
Bitch.
I'm going to go first. This is from our friend Jacob Goodhart. He says, hello, everyone, and Happy New Year. Recently, there's been a lot of hype around Invincible, which I am always happy to see. It recently won an award for Best Animated Series in 2021, and Steven Yeun has teased that Invincible Season 2 is going to be even crazier than 1. I don't doubt it and can't wait to see people's reactions. Also, I read Brit for the first time and was really surprised by how much I enjoyed it. I only knew him through Invincible and always thought he was a Captain America allegory, but there's a really interesting and unique story for him that I didn't see coming. Speaking of the future of the show, I had a thought the other day about something they might change for it. In the comics, shortly after the fight with Omni-Man, someone in the GDA, who for the longest time I thought was Powerplex, leaks the information that Invincible and Omni-Man are father and son. However, I don't think it ever really went anywhere, and while I could see them exploring the repercussions of that more in depth in the show, I was wondering, what if instead of the relationship, they reveal Mark's secret identity? I know that near the end of the comics, it becomes a point where Mark doesn't really even care about his secret identity, and I could see it being a sort of twist on the trope that Iron Man started in his film, which would be fitting as to how the Marvel movies are what make people so comfortable with superheroes that Invincible could turn that on its ear. Here's to a better year and the 499 after it, Jacob.
Honestly,
I think.
after
Go ahead, TJ.
like the first trade paperback, they never even really talked about him having a secret identity or other than looking up and him being nervous about that. It was never really a thing for Mark, I feel.
Yeah.
I kind of like that.
To your point, I think that it would be a bigger deal if they really leaned into this is Omni-Man, because Omni-Man was, remember, he was diabolical, and what the destruction and the mayhem that he caused. I think that it could be really interesting for Invincible to have to constantly fucking prove himself and to be hated by heroes alike. You know what I mean? Imagine how little faith other heroes would have.
Yeah.
In Mark.
That would be really interesting. I would like to see them explore that actually. And that's something that wasn't, I feel like I remember it being like like people kind of like hating on him, like, you know, oh, do you know what he did? Like, how do we know he isn't bad like his father? You know, I mean, I remember some of those conversations.
That's it. It was just like little one-offs. Yeah.
But it would be interesting because you're right. He'd have to prove that he's not, and then following that, not season 2, I'm sure, but then that would lead into Angstrom and him really sullying his name after Mark worked so hard to build it up. That could be really interesting. I like that.
Plus, it could cause even more animosity with like certain villains. Like imagine Powerplex. Like he's like, you're just like your dad, and like I knew that you were bad. Like that kind
and
of
Mark
shit.
having to live in that shadow in a way, then having to go, see his dad again, and the forgiving and the redemption, and then like that is a huge part of the series, is that relationship between them, and making that a little bit more integral to that. I don't know. I think that's really cool.
It was a very personal story, like in Problem, and I think that it could be really fucking interesting if they just expounded on that and made it like a public problem. Yeah.
Cool.
That would be interesting for us. Like that would be a really cool thing for them to do for comic book fans, because we don't know.
It's still very true to the comic, but it's something different that we haven't seen a lot.
It doesn't change it. It doesn't change it.
Yeah.
It's like one of those additions that could add to a season as opposed to
Yeah, it's great. Like it. Yeah. TJ, you got an email for us?
I do indeed. This one comes from Frank, who says, "Hello. I haven't written to you in a bit. I hope you're all having a great start to the new year. I wanted to add some fuel to the theories about that Invincible one-shot issue that may or may not already exist. I can't remember if y'all mentioned this in the last episode, so I'm sorry if you did, but I just found out that this year is Image's 30th anniversary.
Oh, here we go.
With Saga coming back this month and Image celebrating 30 years, I'm very hopeful that we'll get something sometime in 2022. Also, I remember hearing TJ say that he didn't meet any Invincible podcast fans on his trip to Florida. I live in Miami and can confirm you've got one right here. I actually went to an anime convention recently and wore an Adam Eve shirt. To my surprise, I got a bunch of compliments on it. Keep up the great work with the show, and stay safe, guys. Frank."
Love Frank.
Good to know we have some listeners down there.
Sorry about your team.
Yeah, me too. Because I'm a Miami Dolphins fan. And
that's where you go, right? When you go down there.
That's why I go to Miami to at least see at least one game in the Miami Stadium.
Did you wear anything Invincible, TJ?
No.
Maybe that's
I not to the game. I wore like Miami Dolphin stuff.
Oh, okay.
But I'm sure I wore like a shirt. Like an Invincible shirt sometime I was down there. Yeah.
And
it's like half my wardrobe.
And I think it is definitely a little different getting compliments on a nerdy shirt at a convention versus walking around the streets is, obviously it's a little bit more of a concentrated group of people that would say something about it as opposed to just people walking around. But it is still great anytime that happens. I love it.
Yeah.
All right, Bill, you got one.
I got one here too. This is from, I think, Xavier, right?
Yes.
Let's see here. Hey, guys. Hope you're all doing well. The last couple of years have been a bit crazy, as you all know. My reading and podcast listening got cut down significantly due to working overtime / crazy hours. Working at Costco during the start of this pandemic was definitely the opposite of fun. Since I've been working at night, I was able to catch up on both the Invincible and Oblivion Song podcast while at work. It was interesting starting off on pre-pandemic episodes, then getting to listen to you guys adapt to outdoor / social distant recordings, to video call recordings. I have kept up with your Twitter / Facebook and even watched a couple YouTube videos over the last few months. Parentheses, when's TJ's art collection part 2 and Ryan's sketchbook unveiling on YouTube? Yeah, we need to do that again.
We should do something like that again. I think we're due for another stream like that, especially now that we are all virtual. Like you'd think it'd almost be easier to just do it now.
Right. Also loving all of the interviews you guys have been doing. Long story short, miss you guys. It was great to catch up on the podcast and hear about everything you guys were doing over the past 2 years. Can't believe we're still in this pandemic, but fingers crossed the worst is behind us, knocking on wood. Great job keeping the content fresh. Glad you guys loved the animated show. I've been trying to get everyone I know to watch it because of how great the adaptation is. Who knows? Maybe we'll get the movie sometime eventually too. Just because of that, now you jinxed us even further. So now it's like 5 years away. Also, catching up on the Oblivion Song podcast helped me catch up on reading Oblivion Song, so I'll be right there with you guys on these last 2 issues. Maybe come New York City Comic Con 2022, I'll get to see you dudes again. In the meantime, I'll keep up with you guys on socials. Love, Xavier. P.S. Now that we're getting into other books, the creators have made. Did you guys ever get a chance to check out The Infinite I sent you?
Yes. The Infinite was very good. I enjoyed it.
It was surprisingly good.
We
didn't talk about this.
Who did The Infinite?
Kirkman and Liefeld. Yeah.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah. I don't know if TJ, if you were the last one to get them, we'll get them over to Bill. I don't know if Bill got them yet, but
no,
Xavier sent us copies, floppy issues of that. It was like a 5-part series.
Oh, cool.
It was really good. Disappointed that it ended without being finished, but it was still really good. I enjoyed it. But yeah, that might be one to add to the list. And then maybe we won't have you read it, Bill, because then if it wins one of these, one of these polls, then you'll read it. Am I allowed to read it fresh?
Okay, so I'm allowed to read it if it wins.
Oh well, yeah.
Got it. Okay, all right.
But yeah, so nice to hear from you again, Xavier, and glad you're all caught up and doing well. And yeah, hopefully we get to a point where we can see each other again.
When was New York City Comic Con? Was that 3 years ago or 4 years ago?
We went in 2019, October 2019, I think.
3 years ago, TJ.
Yes.
Wow.
That's also
Say
weird.
that again?
2.5 years?
Well, I mean, it was October of 2019.
Yeah.
2 years and
2 and 2 months.
Yeah.
2 and 4. Yeah, and that's got to be weird listening to us, our little time capsule of, this COVID thing's weird, huh? It's not. I wonder if that's going to be a thing. And just hearing the slow progression of we're going to record outside to just, this is year 2. So, yeah. But yeah, listening to the last 2 years at once, man, that would be interesting. All right. So here we are. We are up to our haunt discussion. I wanted to pull a little bit up from Wikipedia because I thought this would be an interesting start to it. So Haunt. From Wikipedia, an American comic book published by Image Comics, created by Todd McFarlane and Robert Kirkman. It debuted in October of 2009 and ended in December 2012 after 28 issues. It was originally written by Kirkman with pencils by Ryan Ottley, layouts by Greg Capullo, and inks by McFarlane. To a mixed to positive critical reception, Joe Casey and Nathan Fox took over the book as creative team as of Haunt 19 to a universally negative reception, abandoning the original storyline and supporting cast and serving it as a tie-in to their own Spawn series in which Haunt is featured as a supporting character. Set in the Image universe. There we go. We got Daniel and Kurt are the main characters, and we could take it from there.
Yeah.
So this might have been our first new Kirkman book when we were getting into comics.
We were. I remember being very fucking excited.
Yeah.
For something like this, especially because I loved Spawn, and the fact that Kirkman and McFarlane were collaborating on something.
That's huge for you. Your history is you grew up a little bit more into Spawn and the movie, the comics, and so on.
Yeah.
I had zero connection to Spawn. I never had watched it, read it, didn't know much about it. TJ, how about you?
I liked the movies. I never read the comics, though. Or the movie.
And at the time, were you familiar with Capullo, TJ?
Oh, yeah.
At this point, I don't remember.
At that time, I think he was doing Batman by then. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he was doing Batman at the same time.
With
Rebirth.
That's when Snyder isn't that right around when Snyder?
Yeah, Capullo and Snyder.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So for me, this was mostly just, a Kirkman and Ottley thing. The name, McFarlane, I was interested. It definitely seemed cool. I just, at this point, like I said, we had only known Invincible and Walking Dead. Those were ongoing at the time. They were in their, I want to say their 60s or so, for where those series were at. So yeah, I was definitely really excited. We read these monthly, when they came out. Yeah, I remember enjoying it. I remember really, really liking it. I also remember only reading up to 18. I think I got issue 19, but at that point I didn't want to keep reading it. I was committed to Kirkman's story, and when he left, I was, I thought it was a good stopping point for me. For whatever reason, I don't remember if it was just my interest in the comic or just solely Kirkman leaving. I couldn't remember. How about you guys?
Same for me.
I stopped even before that, honestly, because there's Kirkman stuff, because I bought four volumes, because I literally couldn't stop reading. Like, I finished the first one, I'm like, I'm not gonna fucking stop. Like, and I kept going.
This time,
now, yeah. And I remember reading, I think it was volume 3, and I'm like, I don't remember any of this stuff, and it was so good. Like,
really,
so fucking good. Yeah,
cool.
And then I started 4 and I stopped instantly, because I was like, this
really? That must have been what
garbage.
I did. That must have been what I did when I read it last time. So, so as for this time, I only read the first 5 issues. The volume 1, the first trade. TJ, how about you?
Same.
And
just
Bill,
the first 5.
And Bill, you read up to volume 4 and didn't really finish.
I read into volume 4 and then stopped because I couldn't. It was terrible. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll have questions after we talk a little bit more about volume 1. About
I can't wait to show you guys something in volume 2. It's really interesting. There's
I mean, for those that read along with us of trade paperback 1 and do want to continue, let's try not to spoil anything major.
That's not going to be story.
No, we'll do it.
Story
yeah,
stuff.
and we'll talk about it in a section at the end and make it clear, like, okay, only for a minute, kind of thing. Yep. But so far, TJ, how was your experience rereading Hunt? And we're not doing the whole page to page kind of thing. We're just going to talk about it generally as a whole, things in issue 1 that you cared about, and just kind of discuss it.
I enjoyed it. I remember enjoying it a lot more when I read it the first time 13 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I think that I enjoyed it more past trade paperback 1. I thought the first trade was great. I thought it was really good. I'm not saying anything negative about it. I thought it was very good. But yeah, I thought it was good. I will say, I don't know if we're getting too much into the story here, but when they first merged, it was not really thought of or like expressed as a weird thing. Yeah. They weren't like, what the fuck is going on right now? It was just kind of like, oh, like this just happens. It happens. We're just going to go with it.
There are a couple things about
that was kind of weird reading that back.
Yeah, there are a couple things about issue 1 where that I think of that. I felt very similar
go ahead, Ryan.
to you, TJ, in that, like, I remember reading it and I don't know. I feel like I'm a little bit more fond looking back at it. And again, maybe it's just volume 1 and maybe I liked it more as it progressed. But reading these 5, I was like, all right, this is cool. It's got some interesting things going on. I'm really liking the art at times, especially with FCO on colors too. Shout out to FCO on colors, like holy shit. But then also at times I'd be like, man, this really is kind of feeling its age, and also I don't think this is of 2009. It feels older than even 2009. Like it has that kind of edgy, gritty, dark thing that it's just a very thing that I never.
McFarlane.
I know, and I never attached to that. You know what I mean? It was always a thing that I never really was drawn to, and so those things that are that heightened in this, like the bad guy being this giant, kingpin type dude with his shirt off, and the toothpick girls hanging all over him, and it's like I get it, and it is that 90s kind of thing. It's like I just have no attachment to it, and I don't know.
The first issue felt very McFarlane, like dark and like kind of gritty. I felt like it kind of got away from that as the trade paperback went on. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good.
I also thought it was interesting. Sorry, Bill, go ahead. Go on.
No, go ahead.
No, because I'm going to change the subject, so you go on.
So, I mean, overall, I fucking loved it. And I feel like it, to your point, Ryan, it has a lot to do with, like, I love Spawn, and I love that. Like, I don't know. Like, it's nostalgic reading something like that, but Haunt almost feels like a reboot of Spawn. Like, if you were to take Spawn and have Kirkman be like, I'm going to write Spawn, and this is what it is. Like, because, I mean, the power that he has an ectoplasm suit, pretty much, that is malleable. Like, he can morph it around like it's a symbiote. And it's very gory. Like, you know what it also felt like to me? It felt like Die a lot.
Yes,
like once it got into like the whole government, like this whole hidden part of the government that does ops and everything like that, I was like, wow, this is super Die.
Yeah, I'm really excited for Die too. Because Die Volume 1 was awesome, and I'm very excited because I haven't read Volume 2 yet, and it gets batshit crazy from what I've seen. So
yeah, the last thing I read was the UFO thing. I don't know if that
just
spoils anything, but yeah. I also love, like, this comic is proof, and it shows how an inker can change the entire tone.
Yes.
Of because this is Ryan Ottley's.
It's almost jarring.
Yeah, it's Ryan Ottley's clean fucking art, like, but McFarlane, a good way, messed it up. Like, he made it look grittier, and like the lines and stuff like that are just a lot messier, but again, in a good way. And it changed the tone.
There are times where I can't tell if it is Todd McFarlane inking. Like, there are times where it looks like it's just Ottley's pencils. Like you know how a lot of times there is the scratchiness, that craziness of that Todd McFarlane kind of inking, and then there are times like issue 2, like page 2, or several parts in issue 2 that are just like really clean, Ottley looking pages. Same with issue, I think it was 4, like 2 and 4. And again, I don't know if that's just because of the way they had the teams working on it, but it looked straight up like Invincible at times.
I agree, but
didn't they go back and forth?
See, that's why I didn't know, TJ. I didn't see anything saying that.
I think they went back and forth.
So if you look at this page here, like, can you guys see this okay?
Yeah.
Or what is it?
End of page 1, or like end of issue 1.
Okay, so if you look at, like, the bodies in the background, like, and how they kind of look very messy and stuff, like, that's McFarlane.
Yeah.
You know?
Even Haunt in that. But if you go back like 3 pages, or even look at the page where he's first being taken over by the the Haunt or whatever, and
it's clean.
It's a little bit more clean. And so there is that juxtaposition, and then you turn 1 page from that, and it's gritty. A little bit more gritty and scratchy. And again, we don't know a lot of the correct terms for all this kind of stuff.
This layout right here of page 1 of issue, it's literally Spawn. I'm reading a Spawn comic. Like, it's so fucking good. And that's Ottley, like, all day.
Right. So there are moments when I'm reading this and
you look at certain pages, like there is no McFarlane in that page at all. That is all Ottley, 100%.
That's what it looks like. And maybe
it goes back and forth.
And maybe that is the case. Maybe it could happen in the same comic. It'll switch. So so there are times where I liked it more than didn't, but I think overall the art is still solid throughout it. It's very interesting in one area that I don't have enough knowledge to talk about would be Capullo's contribution when it comes to layouts, and how that whole dynamic works between him and Kirkman and Ryan when it's, all right, so Kirkman writes it, Capullo lays it out and says this panel is going to have this is going to have this, and then Ryan just goes in and draws it, which probably takes a lot of the work off of Ryan in figuring out the layouts. But that's just really interesting, that whole relationship and how how that's done. But it seems interesting. So, and I'm pretty sure Ottley was done after issue 5. Bill, you can confirm that?
Yeah, I think it was. I from what it looked like, it was all Capullo.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
I'm almost pretty sure.
Yeah.
I'm almost pretty sure. Yeah. Something I. Oh, go ahead, Ryan.
No, go ahead. I got it written down, so go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I'm surprised how much I forgot. Like, I forgot that he was a priest, and
so
I forgot so much about it.
I remembered that he was a priest and his brother possessed him, and that was the suit and everything like that, and that was pretty much all I really knew. Which there really isn't that much more than that in the first volume, because the bad guy there's not really much that going on there. There's some government stuff going on. I forgot about all the relationship stuff, and that was probably one of my favorite things in this was the subtle things between him having a relationship with Amanda and then his brother coming in and you find out that you find out that he ruined that relationship, and then while he's possessing him, he finds out in issue 3 during the interrogation that he cheated on Amanda with someone
multiple times,
and then you find out later that he did it with Mirage.
And was gonna leave his wife. That he, oh my god,
and the whole volume they're talking about it, and they don't really explain it until the last issue where he's like, listen, like I was sitting there and I was having dinner with her and we couldn't relate to anything, and I'm just thinking to myself how, like, she's asking me how my day was, how my steak was, and I'm thinking about how, like, I pretty much just saved the world. And couldn't relate to her, couldn't talk to her about it,
and that's what
he was able to do that with Mirage.
And that's what strengthened his relationship with Daniel, because he was the only one he could tell him about that kind of stuff in confession. Like, it's a really awesome, like, dynamic, and I really liked their relationships, and all of that. It has this, this wrapper that I don't care too much about. But
it's interesting because you can see who did what if you know what people are good at. Like, McFarlane obviously came up with, like, who the bad guys are and what the story is, like, with, like, the espionage stuff and, like, the villain and what they're trying to do with, like, these super soldiers and stuff. But then Kirkman went inwards and was like, okay, so what if the main character's wife left him for his brother who's now dead and bonded with him, like, and made the character things really interesting, because that's what you're reading and you're like, that's a Kirkman idea. That's a fucking Robert Kirkman idea right there.
Yeah. In the first issue, TJ, we talked a little bit about how it was a little jarring at first. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, so we're doing this. Like, he possesses them and they're just like, away we go. And I get it. Like, his brother is a killer. He just immediately moves and can fight. The more jarring thing for me was his brother getting beaten up, and he's all bloodied, and the guy beating him goes out to his boss and was like, he's not going to talk. And she says, cut off his penis, make him watch. If he doesn't tell you after that, he never will. So kill him. And then you turn the page and there's a funeral, and you think it's something unrelated. You think it's unrelated.
You're like, oh shit, like, he died. That's it.
And it wasn't clear. And I don't think it. And I get the intention, but it didn't feel
big enough.
It didn't feel jarring in a good way. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like, holy shit.
That should have been a
did.
big moment, especially because they're it's almost like they're presenting him as the main character, and then the main character died, but it didn't even really show it.
It was more confusing than anything, because then you see him, in the limo with him, talking to him. And you don't realize he's dead, and he's saying, no, you're dead. And it's like, the reader...
I like that, though. I like that it, like, threw you in, because you're like, yeah, he's a grieving brother, and he just thinks that he's crazy, know, and then...
I think it was one step too confusing to make it... Like, I like it in retrospect,
there was no reveal.
But I didn't... In the moment, I didn't really feel anything. I was just confused.
There was no reveal. Like, if they had been in the limo, and he had been talking to him, and then there was, like, a realization, like... No, like, I'm dead. And then that was, Daniel's realization, like, oh shit, like, you're dead.
He did. He started talking about Amanda and stuff. Like, but he
knew he was dead. He obviously just came from his brother's funeral. He knew he was dead.
But I'm
saying that if they were, like, in his apartment and it was like, oh, my brother's over, and then they're talking, then realize like, oh shit, you're dead. You're not even really here.
Or what if we got like, a scene? Or what if we got that scene before that, and that was a flashback, and it's like, oh wow, he was dead, and he's talking to him. Like at that point, Daniel knows that he's talking to a dead person, but the reader
it's almost
doesn't
like you
know.
were just supposed to accept the fact that he died.
Yeah, it was a little jarring, especially for something so gory to not show it either. I don't know. It was a little weird. I love the cover to issue 2 that Ryan Ottley did. That's one of my favorite things as well.
Yeah.
Again, FCO with colors is just insane.
Greg Capullo did do all the art for
afterwards
the next volume.
Yeah.
TJ, I think that you really like it because it's straight up Capullo. It's messier. It's messier than Ottley, so it takes a second, but it works really well.
I feel like that kind of art does work for this type of book. Mm-hmm. Even like I'll be honest, like I love Ottley's art, but the first issue was, like I said, a lot more scratchy, a lot more McFarlane, a lot more, and I felt like that actually worked a little bit better than Ottley's art, a little less clean. And I like that.
I really liked the church fight scene in issue 2
with Cobra.
Yeah. And then him coming back and kidnapping Amanda, him chasing the guy down. Yeah, that's
so Cobra actually comes back in volume 2, fucked up, and he looks like a monster because he gets whipped in the face. Yeah.
Speaking of whipping, I mean, there's the obvious Spider-Man.
Oh, Spider-Man!
It's all over.
Almost too
hanging
much
from the ceiling.
With him using and shooting his ectoplasm like webs. Yeah. It was a little too much.
I talked about how not really caring for the bad guy too much. The whole mole in the agency was just okay. Then having the twist with Mirage was the one that took the bag in issue 1. Also interesting, you wouldn't know who that character was. You get to the end of issue 4 and it's like, here's this woman with this bag. She's got the bag. And if you didn't remember that tiny panel
of the bag getting pulled up,
and the man in issue 2 in the agency talking about Mirage is actually a good person in the background, this conversation's happening. So it's really, really subtle stuff that they peppered in there to lead to that. Which
I like. I like it when they do things like that in comics, because especially appreciating that, having read and loving Invincible, going back, it has that rereadability.
Yes, totally.
Of going back, you know what I mean? And you catch certain things that you maybe didn't pay attention to as much the first time around.
You guys want to see something cool? So this is the first page of the comic, right? It's Daniel with the prostitute, right? Yep. See her right here, right? And then kind of her reflection in the mirror and stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the beginning of the first volume is a flashback episode to Mirage.
And this is the first of the second volume?
Yeah, sorry, yep. And it's him, Nate.
Yeah, with the mirror.
And the mirror.
Mirage in the mirror. It's the same fucking layout.
Yeah.
It was just, it was
cool.
Really cool.
That was cool.
You guys got to, are you going to keep reading or are you just done?
Almost there, Bill. Issue 5, we got the reveal that Assistant Director Rhodes was the mole. She kills Stantz. They have the whole shootout with the big boss guy or the big bad guy.
That was great, dude.
It was really cool.
She's like, she's sitting there and she's like, oh, this all useless. And he's like, what are you talking about? And she just fucking shoots him in the head. That was nuts. Yeah.
We haven't even talked about all the mutants, that were experimented on, or the people that were experimented on and turned into mutants, and naming him Haunt and everything. And then the end of, volume 1, just basically the government, that agency approaching him and basically offering him the job and saying, we know you have nothing better to do. And him kind of feeling, I got the hint of, or the feel that he's kind of happy in a way that he found a purpose.
Yeah, he found a purpose. Yeah. It's about the picture that the first page of the comic that Bill just showed us, him with the prostitute, him that whole opening scene of him going to the church and stuff. Yeah, he exactly. So he found something to live for.
So I was gonna bring that up, Bill, as you just said. TJ, you gonna keep reading it, or you think you're good?
I'm in the middle of my Reread saga. I'm not going to continue it.
Yeah. I wasn't going to, Bill. I think this conversation might edge me into. I've got them. So it's just, if I have the time, I'll pull them out, and I probably will.
They're quick and fun, and it's like watching an old show that you saw like 15 years ago, and you're like, oh yeah, I remember that. It's just fun.
So without really getting into spoilers, unless you really think you need to, and let us know before you do, do you feel a lot better about volume 2 and 3 after reading 1? Like, how does 2 and 3 compare to 1? So for anyone else listening too that read volume 1, and they enjoyed it,
1 to me didn't really what's with the people, what was the doctor experimenting on for, it doesn't really answer any of those questions. 2 does, and you get to find out all about that, which is cool but kind of generic, but you learn more about Haunt and why he gets tired, you know what I mean?
That
you
was
learn
an
about all
interesting
that
thing.
kind
They
of stuff.
did talk about that in volume 1 too.
So you learn a lot about that, and then 3 is just a big one giant chase scene, and it's very supernatural. Did you guys play Prince of Persia, the Warrior Within? I think the second one.
I played one of them. I don't remember which one it was.
So it's Warrior Within. It's the prince goes back in time and he changes stuff, and because he broke time, he is being chased by the Keeper of Time, who is trying to just kill him and eliminate him from the timeline because he broke the timeline. Volume 3 is pretty much that. It's something is after Haunt, and it's so cool because only what's his Daniel's the priest, right?
Daniel,
and is it Nate
Kilgore? It's Nate, isn't it?
No,
is it Nate? It sounds familiar, but is it really another Nate? Is that what you're about to say, TJ?
Kurt. It's Kurt.
Yeah,
It's Kurt. It's Kurt.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's parts where Kurt's Kurt being a ghost, and when they're not bonded, he's like, "Do you fucking see that thing right there?"
Oh, I remember that.
And Daniel's like, "No, what are you talking about?" And then they merge, and it's right in his face. He's like, "Holy fuck!" And then they run from the thing.
Yeah, no, I remember that.
I have bumps. I fucking loved it. And then volume 4, I couldn't wait, and it was garbage. It changed entirely.
Yeah.
Sorry. I think TJ, if you honestly it's.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying that there's other things I need to read.
Now
if I didn't, I probably would continue it.
Now I know the volume 4 and the story and all that and what happened and whatnot. But do you know, Bill, being a Spawn fan, is Haunt Spawn universe? Is Haunt still a thing?
I thought it was.
Does he show up in Spawn at any point?
I stopped reading Spawn when I think it was issue 300. Which how long ago was that? It was when Al Simmons blew his head off.
Hunt goes up to volume 5? So there's a 4 and 5?
I couldn't get through 4. I couldn't get. It was. I'm telling you, it was unreadable. The art in it was so bad that you couldn't even tell what was going on, and it was just
interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, so we have. Go ahead, Ryan. We have this audio clip. What is this?
So, all right. So, yeah, we've got one email. A listener wrote in to give their thoughts on Haunt.
Fun.
This is Luke. Sorry, Luke. Was all...
Oh man, salt in the wound.
Man, you were so close, Luke. All right. This Luke says, "Hey Ryan, Bill, and TJ. I have some random thoughts about Haunt. Here we are. 1. I love Robert Kirkman. I love Greg Capullo's art even more. When Haunt came out, I read it for the art more than the story. If Robert and Todd said, Haunt will no longer have a writer, but Greg is continuing to pencil it, I would have continued reading until Greg said he was finished. 2. I remembered Greg Capullo was on an episode of Fat Man on Batman, a Kevin Smith podcast now called Fat Man Beyond for legal reasons. Greg mentioned how the book was doomed from the beginning. He heard people calling it Spaunt, Spidey Haunt. Yeah. Or Spidey Spawned. Yeah, Spidey Spawn. Yeah. 3. It is amazing to think the first 5 issues Ryan Ottley penciled while working on Invincible at the same time. He must have been channeling Kirby. Ottley probably shaved a year off his life. 4. One thing I remember was how exhausted Daniel got. I think it was from all the ectoplasm he was spewing out. The ectoplasm is not like web shooters. You refill web shooters with more web solution. Daniel and his brother have to make the ectoplasm. Imagine having diarrhea all the time. You'd be exhausted. Yeah.
They actually answer that.
Yeah.
And it's not that.
Yeah.
It's close.
But it's close. Lastly, I have an audio of a podcast I did for the comic.
Oh, fun.
And he included
this is what this is?
So if TJ and Bill, make sure the volume's really low, hold it up to your ear, and keep your head away from the microphone. Go ahead and play at 3. Ready? We'll count it down, and we can play it at the same time. And audio listeners, I'll insert it for you. Ready? On 3, 2, 1, go.
Hello, fellow Haunt comic fans. I'm your host, Luke, and I am a huge fan of the Invincible podcast. They inspire me to put out this podcast about the Haunt comic, a comic book by Robert Kirkman, Todd McFarlane, Ryan Ottley, and my favorite artist, Greg Capullo. This book is going to be huge. I'm talking 150 issues plus. It's just an incredible book. Well written. The art is just impeccable. Hold on. What's that? Oh, the book's been canceled. This is Luke. Thank you for tuning in. This is the last episode of the Haunt Comic Podcast. You know what comic's not canceled and is not ending anytime soon? Invincible. It'll go on forever. So head over to the Invincible Podcast and listen to Bill, Ryan, and TJ. They will not let you down.
Yeah.
All right.
So there you have it. Our first podcast within a podcast.
Oh, that was great.
Thank you, Luke, for the
And I
whole
listen
podcast.
to every episode.
What's that, TJ?
Nice.
And I listen to every episode
Yeah.
Of the
Haunt
Haunt podcast.
It's great.
Yep. All right. So that does it for our haunt discussion. Thank you, everybody, for submitting to or voting in the poll. We will put up a new one probably next week sometime. Second week of February or so. Give everybody a chance to see that. I'll have it live for at least a week with a couple new options in there, and that'll be what we talk more about next month. Again, all this is always subject to change if there's some crazy Invincible news, and then that becomes the topic of the show. But for the foreseeable future, I think this is going to be something that we do, and I think this will be really fun. I'm looking forward to being able to talk more ancillary comic books by the Invincible creative team. All right, now before we wrap up, we always like to have a little section at the end of the podcast for any other stuff that you'd like to share. If anything that you guys want to talk about, anything you've been reading, watching, playing, consuming, and you want to talk a little bit about it, now's your chance.
I think the only thing notable that I'm really watching right now is Ozark, which I'm 4 episodes in, and I don't understand how this show could be more stressful. Like, the amount of balls that are up in the air right now, it's like so many fucking. I can't.
That's the only thing I've ever heard about that show. I've never watched it. All I ever hear about for years was that it's incredibly stressful, which is just
It's Breaking Bad.
It's Breaking Bad.
Yeah, but like all the time. Like,
I mean, Breaking Bad was like that all the time.
No,
but
like the height of
The stress of Ozark is comparable to Breaking Bad. I wouldn't say that it's any more or less.
Okay.
I think it's equal.
All right.
And it is incredible. It's incredible.
I feel like they're trying to one up Breaking Bad. Not like they have to beat it, but I feel like it might be more stressful than Breaking Bad, TJ, because there are in Breaking Bad you liked Walt, Jesse, and like that was kind of it, you know. In Ozark, like almost every character has moments where you're like, oh, I kind of fucking like them, and everybody. Imagine like there's like 5 characters that you fucking love, and every one of them has about 8 things that are about to implode. So it's like, oh my god, like, but it's great. It's really good. And I haven't finished it. That's great.
And what season is that?
It's 4.
It's 4, but again, like Breaking Bad, they're doing the final season in 2 different parts, and it's the first part of the final season.
Yeah.
But
it's 4 more episodes than.
Yeah, I think it's 14 episodes total, but they're splitting it in half.
Yeah, 7 and 7.
I don't understand. Just make it 2 seasons.
I agree. People are like, oh, it's 4 seasons.
So
I'm like,
dumb.
it's 5 seasons. You can shut the fuck up. Yeah.
I saw Nightmare Alley.
Oh, how was it?
I don't know what that is.
Nightmare Alley?
Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah,
Bradley Cooper.
It's said to be an Oscar movie. We'll see. It was good. I enjoyed it. I thought it was going to be better than it was, but I liked it. The ending was nuts. The acting in it. Oh, my gosh. What is her name? Shit.
Cate Blanchett?
I can't stand her, but fuck, is she a good actress, man. It's crazy. I don't
She's
really
a
like
good
her.
actress.
Just like every character she's ever played, like I just don't.
I loved her as the goddess of death in Thor Ragnarok. Wasn't that her?
Hela.
Cate Blanchett? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Katie and I have been watching Succession. I
hear good things about that.
Halfway through season 2. It's one of those shows that you hear like a couple people rave about it, and then you hear about it around award season, and it like sweeps. So we gave it a shot. We're halfway through season 2 out of 3, and Katie's liking it more than me, but she likes these kind of shows more than me. It is the kind of show where you hate everyone. Like they're all just awful people, and you really enjoy watching awful people do awful things. And it's like tense and stressful, and it's just frustrating. So yeah, we've been like, winding down a long day with that. It's been nice. So, but no, it's a really good show. It is really good.
There's a show that was suggested to us by a friend of ours that I watched called Station 11 on HBO Max, and it's unreal how good it was. Like it's that kind of show where like, and it's a post-apocalyptic, but they don't really even dive into that. It's like really about the characters, and it's the type of show where like it blew me away that someone could sit down and write something
really
like this.
Ooh.
It's great. It gives you that feeling where it's like that like kind of sick feeling where you're like, oh, this is fucking good. It's really really good.
The trailer,
you guys will like it.
The trailer
really do think
I think did a disservice because it looked very generic and super boring. Super boring.
I will also say that the first episode felt a little pretentious, like it was trying too hard, and I'm like, it's trying too hard to be like Oscar-ish, but then it fucking takes over, and it's incredible.
You know what show is the opposite of pretentious that I forgot that I'm watching? Peacemaker. Have you guys watched it at all?
I have not yet.
I can't bring myself to do it after Suicide Squad. I hear nothing but good things.
Yeah,
I hear nothing but good things.
I will. I just haven't yet.
It is.
I hate John Cena as an actor.
Dude.
No, he's good. He's fun.
Who cares? This is like the role that he was made for. To be honest, like he's so doofy, but like, oh my god, guys! And there's Vigilante is like stealing the fucking show. Cool. If they do a spinoff show with the character of Vigilante, I'm in.
Awesome.
But James Gunn has written everything so far, and I think he wrote the entire thing. And what makes this show fun is not even like the big story or the action or the gore. It's like when 4 people are in a room and they're just arguing about like, stupid shit, and you're like, wow, it's just a lot of fun.
Cool.
Watch it. Yeah.
All right.
I saw a
will
movie
eventually. I say I will watch it eventually. I know I will. I want to.
I saw a movie because, I mean, they're saying that it's going to sweep the Oscars, called Licorice Pizza.
I remember hearing a lot about that a couple months ago.
So bad.
What
was it?
What is it's called?
It wasn't for me.
Pizza.
I didn't.
What the fuck is it?
It takes place in the 70s. It has nothing to do. I see the
That's
movie.
my least favorite.
No
era.
idea.
That is my least favorite decade.
The
70s
like
is
that.
just so bad.
I mean,
It's just
again,
so bad.
it's like, you know how you get those Oscar movies where it's like, holy shit, this is an Oscar movie, and then you get those Oscar movies where it's like, oh, it's like an Oscar movie.
Like Winter's
It's
Bone.
like that. It's like it tried to be an Oscar movie. It's just like it's story that just kept continuing but not progressing. It's just like it felt like you were just living your life, like nothing really was happening throughout the whole thing.
I know exactly.
I just don't. I thought it was just.
On a separate
Not for
note,
me.
we finally watched. I don't think we talked about this last time, but we watched Encanto, and that was really fun.
Was it?
It was. I really enjoyed it. It was a surprise. I was surprised at how much I liked it.
I'm going to Disney in a few months, and
you should watch it, TJ.
I feel like I need to see it.
Yeah, get in the Disney mindset. But animated, I know I already mentioned it, and I know where you're at, Bill. But TJ, are you gonna try watching Arcane? Why?
Yes.
Why not?
I just have a ton of stuff I want to watch. I want to watch Succession.
It's going to be like instant.
TJ, it's probably better than that. Honest to God, dude.
Oh, please watch it before Succession. This is Succession. Oh my God. Every night we watch one episode of Succession, it feels like 2.5 hours. It is the longest 1 hour of my life every night. I'm telling you, this show is just, it's really long.
I still need to watch the final season of Lost in Space. I just have so much shit.
I haven't watched that either.
Maybe
or season 2.
I'm just itching to talk about it, and since Bill stopped watching it, maybe I'll just come over and watch it with you or something, because I really want to share it. Like it is that kind of show.
Yeah, we would do it.
And maybe the three of us need to watch it.
All right, ready? So two things. The Book of Boba Fett is
okay.
It is a bad show. It is bad.
I do
it
not
is a boring,
like it,
bad,
but that episode, holy shit.
Fucking episode 5.
Yeah.
It's because it's Mandalorian. I haven't watched it. I have no idea.
Absolutely, TJ.
But that everybody's saying the same thing.
Of course.
But of course. Thank you for giving me a little bit of fucking entertainment in this terrible fucking show. It was,
and it wasn't even like
they did it.
Oh, okay, this is a fun, like, no, that was probably the best episode of The Mandalorian in ever, even counting his episodes.
it was better. It was season premiere worthy. Like that was the season premiere of Mandalorian.
Yeah, it was.
I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah. It was amazing. It was really, really good. So,
Brian, you said that you and Katie were going to start watching the movies Karate Kid in order to prep for Cobra Kai. Have you started at all?
No, I told you that like 2 days ago. Have I talked to you about how long Succession is?
That was like a week ago. Oh, you're going to wait until you're done with that?
Yeah, no, anytime we're watching TV. Oh, because Katie and I are also, if we're not watching Succession, we're playing It Takes Two. The game that won Game of the Year at Game Awards and won a ton of Game of the Year stuff. It's a 2-player co-op game. Bill, you and Liz should definitely play this. It is just... It's one of the, there's certain things in the story and a really annoying character that shows up and everything like that. But the gameplay between the two, it's so much fun. So it's split screen and you're doing things and solving puzzles to try and help the other person get to other areas, or you go into new chapters and you got brand new abilities, and the gameplay is just so tight and so good, and the way and the different kind of mechanics and everything like that, it is fascinating. And again, if it didn't win Game of the Year and like get all this like high praise, it wouldn't be something I'd be too interested in. But it is actually really, really entertaining. And you guys, I'd highly recommend it.
You don't think that I would like it, Ryan?
So I don't know if it worked.
I'm so lonely.
No, you know what? Because I really want our friend Matt to play it too, and I'd be interested to see how it plays online. And if you have what you should do, and this is for both of you, EA Play is kind of like a subscription for EA games. It costs $5 a month, and you could play any EA Play game that's on there. So if you beat It Takes Two in a month, you only paid $5 for it, and then cancel the EA Play. Or if it takes you 2 months to beat it, $10. It's normally $25. So that's what I'm doing, and Katie and I are probably going to beat it in a month or two, and it was only $10.
Here, It Takes Two.
I played.
So I recommend that. How was it? I heard it wasn't good.
It was, which is weird because it has James McAvoy.
Yeah, great cast.
Willem Dafoe and Daisy
Ridley.
Daisy Ridley. And it was just the premise of it is amazing. Mm-hmm. And it starts out like,
what is this?
It's called 12 Minutes. So you play. You're in a hotel room. There's
it's
four rooms.
It's kind of top down.
Yeah, it's top down. There's 3 rooms, and you just have to get out of this time loop of 12-minute time loop. And a cop comes in, arrests you, kills you.
So you're doing different things to try and change it, and so on.
Which sometimes, I mean, it's cool because sometimes you have to you actually have to kill your wife and see what happens, and then the next loop you don't do it because you killed her and you saw it. It's just okay. I was expecting a little bit more.
I've been still enjoying the Avengers Raid. I'd play that with some friends every now and then. I also have been working my way through Ghost of Tsushima, really enjoying that. Like I was telling you about, Bill, because I'm so into that right now, I probably won't be getting the new Horizon when it comes out, but I am very excited to play that once it comes out, and I'm excited to hear what everybody thinks of that. Other than that, The New Hulk is still very good by Ryan Ottley and Donny Cates. Radiant Black is still solid. Really enjoying that still. What else is... I don't know if I've been reading anything else. I'm actually reading a book called Circe. It's a Greek mythology book. Other than that...
Saga came out.
Holy shit, Saga came out. You're right. Oh, my God. TJ, you haven't read it yet because you're doing your reread first?
Smart. Very smart.
Oh, man. It's so good to have Saga back.
It was good to have it back, man.
Yeah, it's more Saga. Like, it feels
good.
As
I'm reading it, even just like the mundane stuff that's happening, I'm like, fucking Saga, man.
Yeah.
Like,
You're talking about it too. We were talking about it the other day. It's like doing the reread. We always talk about like people write in, what else can I read that's like really good? We always say Saga. We always talk up Saga. It's so much better than I remembered it to be. Doing the reread, it's like as much as we talk it up, it's even more better. Like the world is so big, but the story doesn't have to be that grand, like Star Wars and anything. It could be, but it's not. It's so character driven. It's so good.
It at least 2 times, and I find myself, and this is, I think, exclusive to Saga, and this might be unlike any other thing I've read, whether it be Invincible, Walking Dead, or anything. When I'm reading Saga, I find myself never thinking about anything else coming up in Saga. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh man, we're almost to the Invincible War, Conquest is coming up.
You're enthralled.
No, what is happening in Saga in that issue
is just what's happening.
What is happening, and it is so good and so in the moment that when you're reading it, that is all that really matters, which is amazing.
You don't need to build to something. It's just is what it is.
Not only is it really great for when you're reading it, but it's also really great that you don't, like, when you get to new things, you're like, oh yeah, I forgot all about that. Like it almost feels fresh again when you get to it, because you're so deep into it when you're reading it in those moments that when something else happens, it's like, oh, because you're not looking ahead. You're never looking ahead when you're reading it, even on a reread. It's fascinating. I love that. I love that series so much. So it's great for it to be back. Yeah. So that does it. Thank you all for listening. We are going to wrap it up here. Remember, if you want to be a part of the show, if you want to write in to give us your thoughts on any Invincible news that's out there, or be a part of the show and, give us your thoughts on whatever the next comic that we're going to be talking about is, please write into theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Shout out to Wyatt Layne for our theme song, our music. Cameron Kennedy for helping us out with that intro. And other than that, thank you all for listening. Check out the Twitter for the poll for what we're going to be reading next. Thank you, Bill and TJ, for joining. And we're going to wrap it up there.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Have a great day and night.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.